Hey folks, Apple have just officially cancelled the Air Power, their charging mat. So in this video, I'm going to compare 10 different wireless QI-enabled charging devices so you can see which one gives you the best value for money and will best suit your wireless charging needs. Now, before we jump into this, folks, please head on over to mattgranger.com, sign up to my mailing list, and you'll get to hear first about everything we have going on. And you can check out my gear buying guide there that has all of my different camera reviews and different tech all put together in one place. Now, I have 10 different devices here ranging quite wildly in price. We're going to run through, show you each of them, and then tell you how they actually did in charging and how their reliability was, any quirks, any build quality issues. Now, before we look at them, what exactly I'm going to be testing. So first off, I have an iPhone 10. And this one I'm going to test in 3 different cases. I feel a little bit like the 3 little pigs because we have one with a leather back section, a Moment case that has a wooden back section, and then this beautiful wood and resin one, which is significantly thicker, and I'm not sure if it's going to work as well with the wireless charging. Then I have a 10S Max in just a plain, simple see-through case. It's a kind of a drop-rated one though. And then also the official Apple charging case, which is QI wireless charging certified as well, despite the fact that a lot of these wouldn't charge it at all. Now, taking a look at the actual chargers themselves. Now, there's a lot of different models out there. I've got 2 different Ankers in here. I've got 2 different UTECs in here. So check the links in the description below. They'll take you to the best prices in your country for these, and you can make sure you're getting the exact same model. Now, first up is this little Anker. Now, keep in mind, whilst all of these say fast charging, most of them are doing up to 10 watts of power delivery. It's going to depend on how you charge them and what device you use. Only 2 of these came with their own charger. So if you're just plugging into a standard USB like you have in your power brick or whatever kind of device, you'll be limited to what power that is delivering. You'll want to use something that has a faster delivery of power if you want to get the highest performance. So you like the RavPower one, it came with its own fast charging brick. Your phone may have come with one. Or I personally use this Zendure adapter. It's got 3 USB-A fast charging ports and a USB-C, which is at a hyper speed for even faster supporting devices. Now, for all of these, unless they came with their own charger, I'm going to use the same high quality micro USB cable that I know is reliable. And then for the 2 that came with their own chargers, and I'll use their accessories. Second one is Orkey. This one is saying it's 10 watts wireless. Orkey's a decent brand, fingers crossed. Next up is the RavPower. This one is really nicely built, nice and heavy. It feels like good quality, and this does come with its own charging adapter. Next up is a bigger Anker. This one feels actually a little bit more flimsy than the other one, and it's got a lip on it, which I'm wondering, it's basically going to insist that you have 2 or 3 millimeters of space between the actual pad and your device, unless it's something small like a pair of headphones, the wireless charging pack, or the face of your watch. A phone itself is going to necessarily have a gap there. Next up is this chintzy looking one that I know some diehard Apple fans will like. Oh, of course, it's not a genuine Apple one. It does have the kind of styling of the metal on the back, the white Apple on the front. Next up is this super chintzy one. Now I'm going to have these all listed below in order. This is number 6. Really lightweight. Again, it does say that it's giving us a fast charge, but this is a 5 volt. Next up is the Nilken. This one is saying that it has super fast charge and it's got a glass top and it lights up when it charges. We'll talk about that when we look at its results. The first of the UTECs. This is about as light as any of them, but it feels better built than the other lightweight cheap ones. Next, we have the 2 standing designs. The first is another UTEC, significantly cheaper than the last option we have. This is the model X2. It's quite a nice build quality. If it works well, that's a serious option if you're looking for the standing type. And finally is the Belkin. Now this one comes with its own charging brick and a direct cable, so it's not running off USB. This is the kind I think that's meant to sit beside your bed and do its job. Of all of them, it by far has the nicest build quality, but it is also by far the most expensive of the different options here. So now, I don't want to waste your time, let's run through and tell you the results of each of these. First up is the little Anker. This is number 1 in our results below. This worked fine for everything except it just wouldn't charge the case, the battery pack. And that's a common thread that's going to come out as we go through this. A lot of them weren't able to charge this. This has a really nice build quality. If you're looking for something simple and small with a nice footprint and a nice build, this is a really good contender. I'm going to put that aside for that reason. Second is the Orkey. This one had the same results except with the wood and resin case, it would only charge if you were right at the top. It seems like this is the area that has the strongest transmission, and it had to be right up there for it to be able to charge this guy. Given that it's cheaper build quality and that it was a little bit finicky like that, I couldn't recommend it over the first Anker. Next up is the Rav Power. Now this one has the nicest build of any of the flat laying ones. It comes with its own adapter, as I mentioned. I had high hopes for this one. Again, it couldn't charge the battery case, unfortunately. And again, it needed the charge to be right at the top to get through the thicker wood and resin case. Still a beautiful case and still worth checking out. Not as finicky as the Orkey, but I don't think I can really recommend it over the other one, again, the Anker, which is lighter, the build still feels good, and it was less finicky. Pretty much the same story for number 4 in our results. The second of the Anker units worked fine on everything except for the battery pack, and it was also finicky and it needed to be in this top section to charge through the resin case. Next up, our chintzy Apple one. Now, this took ages for the XS Max to actually register as starting the charge. I mean, ages, like 5 seconds or something, whereas the others were instantaneous. It also couldn't charge the battery pack. The wood and leather cases were fine, and it was incredibly specific with the wood and resin one. Had to really get it on the right angle for it to even charge. So the only reason to get that one is if you really want the styling. Next up, number 6, the cheapest build quality of any of them. Not great. It also couldn't charge the case. It was pretty unreliable with the wood, and it just wouldn't charge the wood and resin. So that's another one I wouldn't recommend to you. Next up is the Nilken. It's a decent build quality. I don't think it's going to break. It's still quite lightweight, but it feels nice and robust. So in that regard, it's nice. The design will fit in with some people's home decor. But I do really wonder if that light would actually get annoying if it stays on all night if you have this beside your bed whilst you're charging your phone. So number 7, again, wouldn't charge the case, needed the wood and resin case to be closer to the top. It wasn't super finicky though. So if you like the styling, that one's a possibility for people. I think it's a decent one as long as you don't have a super thick case or one of these battery packs. Next up, the UTech. Now, this one, pretty much the same. It wouldn't charge the case with the battery, charged everything else fine, was a little specific with the resin one. Nice, small, cheap. It's a decent option. If you don't want to get the Anker, that's one you could consider, but it's still not as reliable as the Anker. I would lean towards the Anker if I were you. Next up, our 2 standing ones. First off, the UTech. This charged everything without a problem. It's just fine. It's a basic design, but it worked. It charged each of the 3 different materials of case, the iPhone XS Max and the battery pack without an issue. I'm quite impressed. And lastly, our really expensive Belkin. This one, I'm confident, has the fastest charge of the bunch with its own direct power supply. It seemed to be charging them faster. I didn't specifically measure it, but it seemed to be. And it reliably charged all of them instantly every time. Didn't depend on the angle or really the amount of coverage that it got. Having said that though, beautiful styling. It comes in 3 different colors from memory. The build quality is certainly better than the UTech, but given the price difference between these two, it's hard to recommend that one, apart from the styling, when this is doing just as reliable a job in the tests I did. The Belkin, I'm sure, is giving you the fastest, and it has the nicest build and design. If the build and design aren't that important to you and you're going to be doing overnight, so the speed of the charge isn't a big issue, the UTech is a great way to save a little bit of money. I will also have links to the different cases that I tested here, the Nomad case with the leather, the Moment case with the wood, the drop rated one with just clear plastic, and the official battery pack one, which if you have one of these standing chargers, is quite handy to be able to, at night, just drop it in and then know in the morning they're both charged. And that's the reason I got one of these battery cases, even though it makes quite a slim phone quite chunky. I would personally rather the chunk rather than a slim phone, even if I'm on that all day doing heaps of work in a remote place where it's struggling to get a connection. With the battery pack, I've never run it down in a day. So it's in a way handier than carrying around the external battery packs. But having said that, if you're looking at external battery packs, please do check out the video I did comparing dozens of different ones, including drop testing. And if you're using a latest generation Apple product that's using USB-C, check out my hub comparison. It's got over 1 million views now, and I went through and did this really thorough, exhaustive testing, load testing them as well, all of the different ones that are on the market, and recommend the best ones for you. Let me know if you're using a QI device. Otherwise, please check the links below. As I said, they will be localized to your country and have the best prices and take you exactly to these products. Hope you found that useful. I'll see you soon.